Hello and welcome. Happy Wednesday. Today we're going to be talking about, do you even need an attorney? Now, I'm going to disclaim this right away because it's only fair. I am an attorney. I know some of you know that, but some of you may not that are tuning in for the first time. So there may be that in the back of your mind thought that says, well, of course he's going to say that. He's an attorney. That's just who he is, because otherwise, how does he survive? But I give you my word, okay, that my personal interest in being an attorney is superseded by the benefit that you gain by having legal counsel in these particular instances. And so I'm going to give it to you straight, like absolutely unvarnished, no gilding the lilies, so to speak, truth about when you need an attorney and when you don't. Because number one, I like to conform with integrity. I like my clients to want to be with me because they recognize that I bring value to them, that I'm not just doing it for my own self-interest. But more importantly, the last thing I want you to do is be harmed by not having an attorney when you should have had one. So, if you're new here, my name is Taylor Darcy from Think Legal, where I help you create the business of your dreams. So welcome. Just so you know, I go live Monday through Friday, except for holidays and the occasional I have to take my kid to the doctor type thing. But other than that, I'm here at 11. I'm here to help you. I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to improve the access to legal services. And so although this is educational, and as my disclaimer said, you should consult personal legal advice in your local area, this is here for you. I'm here to help you, give you answers that you may not otherwise get for no charge. Now, obviously, if you desire, that was a cross between decide and desire. Wow. If you desire or decide to hire me, then we talk about what representing me or representing you means, rather. So let's get started. All right. Well, so we're going to start with the times when you don't need an attorney. And think of, for instance, if the amount in controversy is less than $10,000 in California, that is, then going to small claims court, I guess technically it's $9,999.99. Going to small claims court is faster, it's less expensive, and you don't need to hire an attorney. You don't need to spend the money to hire an attorney to get that. Now, that isn't to say that you can't, but we can't file in small claims court on your behalf. Okay, that's how small claims court works. We can file in superior court on your behalf, but it's going to cost you more. Now, some attorneys will take a fee based upon the amount in controversy. So the lower the amount, the lower the fee. So it depends on the attorney. Some will do a lower hourly rate if that's the case. But in those instances, at least in California, you have to recognize that there are some downsides to taking a case to small claims court. Number one, if you are the plaintiff and you lose, you can't appeal it. There's nowhere left to go. In superior court, on the other hand, if you lose, you can appeal it to the next court. So that's something to consider. Now, that's not true for the defendant. If you're defending a lawsuit, then if you lose, you can appeal it because you didn't have the choice of where to bring the suit. The plaintiff did. Okay, so that's something to consider, is if there's a chance as the plaintiff you might lose, which there's always a chance, then you may want to consider hiring the attorney and bringing it in superior court. Now, the other downside to small claims court is, and this one is what I've seen, because they're not full-time judges, or rather they're not full judges, they're like commissioners or whatnot, they tend to have more sporadic rulings than a judge in superior court. And a lot of that comes from, number one, they're just going based upon the evidence that you present and the evidence that the defense presents. There's no motions, there's nothing that you haven't been to law school to talk about issues and frame issues in a way that the judge understands them. And so they're going strictly off their experience as opposed to you educating them about the matter. They're not expecting that higher level, and so it creates this disconnect. I've seen small claims court being great and being terrible all at the same time. It really is kind of more of a crapshoot. I'm not trying to bag on small claims court. I'm just simply telling you the pros and the cons so you understand that you don't need an attorney for that, but there's sometimes when you want to talk to an attorney about the amount in controversy and what it would mean if they took that. So those are the instances when you can safely go without an attorney. The other thing is that you're going to want to avoid is if there's any significant or potentially criminal liability, and you may not know what those are, like in those instances. So it would almost always behoove you to at least consult with an attorney, even if you don't end up hiring them for the case. And a lot of attorneys will offer either free consultations or a reduced fee consultation, depending on the attorney and the matter that's there. So it really depends on what it is. Not every attorney does everything. So you have to find the one that's right for you. So those are the no's. Those are the or I guess the better way of saying it would be the maybes. The other instance is, or these instances, more often than not, you're going to want to hire you're going to want to hire an attorney for these matters. And the number one, now these are all important. I just listed that as like from top to bottom important. Criminal matters. You pretty much always want to have an attorney for a criminal matter. Your freedom is at stake. There is too much at stake for you to not have an attorney. Pro se, which is where you represent yourself, you are entitled to that as a matter of law. There's nothing that says that you can't represent yourself. However, you're more likely to lose, and you're also more likely to be incarcerated because of that. And this is true in all of law, you don't know what you don't know. And it can hurt you a lot, especially in criminal matters. Also, if you cannot afford an attorney, and remember this is part of the Miranda v. Arizona ruling, one will be appointed for you. Now, there's a big misnomer out there that says that public defenders are subpar attorneys. The media loves to paint them terribly, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Most public defenders, they might be overworked, but are more than capable, are outstanding at what they do, because they're in court more often than private attorneys are. I'm not saying that they're always in court, but more often because of how many people that can't afford an attorney. So they see judges. They work with the prosecutor more often. So they build this level of trust that you don't get as much as with a private defense attorney. This is not a slight of the private defense attorneys. I'm not suggesting that they're inadequate. Quite the contrary. I'm simply trying to alleviate the terrible stereotypes of my public defender colleagues. Most of them are really good at what they do. Excellent at what they do. They have a passion for helping people, and they're doing it because they can. And it's more power to them. They are great people that are looking to help you if you're accused of a crime to get the best deal possible. The difference is you may have to be a little bit more patient with them because of the time that they have, 50, 60, 70 cases. I don't know their workload, but a lot more than what a private defense attorney does. And also what tends to happen is private defense attorneys will have more staff in order to add more clients. And so whereas versus there's a finite budget that goes with the public defenders. Okay, so you have to look at it from a budgeting perspective in that respect. So, but do not go it alone. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you are ever accused of a crime, do not go it alone. That is the worst possible solution you can imagine. If you have to borrow money, it is worth it. I dealt with a civil matter years ago where we were fighting a civil case. There was a criminal case probably pending. And I said, let's settle this civil case. You can save the money for that criminal case. And guess what happened? There was a criminal case coming down the pike. And it was huge. Okay. And so then my client was genuinely appreciative of the fact that I cared more about their freedom than I did about fighting for their property or fighting for the civil suit. So that's just one instance where you're going to want to save your money for a criminal defense attorney because it can pay off in spades. Also, keep in mind, attorneys are not miracle workers. We are restricted by the law and the facts, as well as the prosecution and the judge. So it's very narrow what we can do, but we can do more than what you can do by yourself, like typically. Not always. I mean, yes, you're the one invested in your case. You're the one that's accused. I totally understand that. And it's your right to represent yourself. But more often than not, you will get a better outcome if you hire an attorney than if you don't, in a criminal matter especially. Now, you might not get your freedom, but you might get a better plea bargain because that attorney's sole job is to poke holes in the prosecution's case, which can get that plea bargain down to a more reasonable number than what they go into. They always start high and then come down low. At least I've never seen it otherwise. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but that's generally how it does happen. The last thing is, even if you're being questioned by law enforcement and because you don't know what that law enforcement is trying to get you for, you want to always have legal counsel when you're being questioned by law enforcement. And that's kind of a broad view of it, because you could say something that could incriminate yourself. And that's getting into a little bit more nuanced of a perspective because of Miranda v. Arizona, when they have to alert you of that, what's admissible, what's not, before and after. So again, if there's ever a criminal matter that you are being charged with, if you're being questioned by the police, always request to have your attorney present during that questioning. So that's number 3, or just the next one, criminal. The next one is an accident. Now, ambulance chasers is the common thing that most people come to the conclusion of. However, and here's the big however, if you're on the defense side of that, what can happen is, and I'm not saying this will happen, but you pay all that money to insurance and they can come after you for contribution if you admit liability. So if you're on the defense, don't admit liability, first and foremost. Contact an attorney to discuss that, okay? And then have it ready for when you are prepared to make a statement to the insurance company. Insurance companies are not your friends. They're a necessary evil. We have to have them. But their goal is to not pay claims. They don't make money if they don't. In other countries, insurance companies are nonprofit. So they don't make money off of you. In the United States, however, they are for profit, which means the only way they can make real money is by increasing their premiums or decreasing their payouts. The shareholders are the ones that are benefiting from that insurance company, not you as the policyholder. So they want to take your money and not pay anything out. Okay. And the same thing goes if you're on the plaintiff side. They want to not pay you. And so what ends up happening is they'll lowball you until you hire an attorney, and the attorney goes through it and will get you the policy limits. or can get you the policy limits. I've seen that one happen countless times. Okay. Where I'm not a personal injury attorney, but I have friends who are personal injury attorneys that talk about how the insurance company will offer $25,000 for something and the lawsuit is $100,000 and they get to that $100,000 mark. Okay. So that's something you can think of because, and insurance companies, again, are about saving them money or making shareholders money. They're not about taking care of you. That's not their goal. So your attorney is there to make sure you're going to get the care that you need. They're going to work on that. They're going to find every nickel, every penny. They're going to find every law that's going to protect you, give you. I had a friend many, many years ago who was injured by a uninsured motorist. So there was nothing to go after this person for. She was dead butt broke. No money, really. And it was quite sad because my friend had major surgery and couldn't afford her medical bills. Well, this attorney, it found out from doing his research that the policies were written in Montana, which I don't know if the laws changed, so I can't speak to any type of anything there. But Montana allowed stacking. So each vehicle on their policy allowed them to add that to the amount of payout under their uninsured motorist thing. So where they would have gotten nothing, they ended up getting their medical bills taken care of because the attorney negotiated the medical bills to a reasonable amount instead of the crazy. Got the payout from the insurance company up to the policy limits of each policy because of that stacking. And she was able to be taken care of for her needs. And she was much better off because she hired an attorney than if she would have not hired that attorney, because she wouldn't have known about the policy stacking, nor would she have negotiated as well with the medical bill situation. And so this is what I'm talking about. This is why when I say, do you need an attorney? A lot more often than you might think you do, because we are trained to see those issues and to do the research and to find ways to get you the outcome that you need. Again, we're not miracle workers. We can't, it's not perfect. We can't come out with a 100% win rate. We are constrained by the facts, the law, the judge, the jury, whomever. So it isn't to say that we were absolutely going to make it happen. But the likeliness of a good outcome greatly increases with an attorney. The next one is kind of my heartbreaking one. Divorce or child custody dispute. Almost without fail, you need an attorney. The problem is what you don't want, and I know this like goes against what a lot of people are thinking, but what you don't want is a bulldog attorney. You're like, what, Taylor? Why would you suggest that? Well, this is kind of one of Taylor's tips from yesterday. Bulldog attorneys will fight over everything and nothing and get nothing accomplished. All the time spending your money. Unless they're a flat fee attorney, which I am, so I only charge flat rates. I don't do family law, so I don't do divorce or custody. Then most bulldog attorneys are not flat rate attorneys because they're incentivized to spend as much humanly time as possible on that matter, as opposed to being efficient and taking care of it. Divorce is difficult enough. You don't need an attorney who's going to make it more difficult, more painful, and prolong it and drag it out. And that's exactly what a bulldog attorney does. And I don't want to sully the name of bulldogs because I love dogs. Dogs are awesome. I can't wait to get a dog. I keep telling my kids that we're going to get a dog. We just don't know when. But the point is that a bulldog attorney is one who's going to fight over everything. And when they do that, they've racked that bill up so fast. It is financially better to take the loss, cut your pride, get your pride out of it, than it is to continue fighting over something that's minuscule that you could have been done with it and out of it. And I've got, like I said, I've got family law friends too, family law attorneys, and they tell stories about people that fight they'll spend $100,000, $200,000 over $25,000 on attorney's fees. And the attorney's like, we can settle. Let's get this done. And this is for a non-bulldog attorney. Imagine what a bulldog attorney would be. Those are the ones that give us a bad name. Okay. We fight for you, but there's a difference between fighting for you and nitpicking to the point where it's costing you more money than it's worth to settle. You're going to have to swallow some. It's a dispute. Nobody walks away from a dispute happy or thrilled too much. Like, there are exceptions to that, but I'm saying, like, there's a little bit of pain or a lot of pain on both sides. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a dispute. Okay. So you just have to kind of accept that, especially in family and custody cases. It's going to hurt, but it doesn't have to hurt so much because of the attorney's actions. Okay. Now, the next one is, and again, these are the times when you definitely want an attorney. There's a lot of things you can do pro se, and that's fine, or just represent yourself. But these are ones that are like really crucial, and they all make sense, right? So far, leave a comment below if you've got a reason why these don't make sense, because I would love to hear it. But I think these all are really good reasons why you need an attorney. Okay. The next one is the sale or purchase of a home. I can't tell you, I mean, besides the obvious, a home is your largest asset typically. Most people don't ever get a larger asset than their home, at least physical asset. They might get a fancy 401k or stocks, bonds, mutual funds. They might do great trading work. So they might have a decent stock portfolio. But as far as like a hard asset is concerned, your home is a pretty big deal. And especially in Southern California, San Diego median home prices, $750,000, $1 million for not a lot of property. And you don't want to invest in an attorney to help protect your interests because, okay. And the reason why this is important is that a realtor, and as good as they are, and I have friends that are realtors too, I'm in that professional circle, they are amazing people, but their goal is to sell homes, not protect your legal interests. So I cannot emphasize enough that the two are not the same. Have the realtor selling you the home or buying the home or facilitating that process, but have an attorney there to check the paperwork, check the zoning, check the laws, make sure that there's no encumbrances, do title work, do the stuff that is going to make sure that you are protected in that asset. If you're spending $750,000 in a home, why not spend an extra $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000? I don't know. Real property attorneys charge, I don't know what they charge, but the idea being, as a percentage, if you're spending 1% to 2% on an attorney, that makes a ton of sense to protect your interests, especially when we're talking about as large of a dollar amount as a home. So that is huge, especially to give you peace of mind, because an attorney doesn't have a dog in the fight, right? They don't have an interest in selling you a property for more than what it's worth or more than what you can afford, or they don't have an interest in these types of things. Their interest is solely fiduciary to you to make sure that your home is protected, encumbrances aren't there, that you're not going to get yourself in trouble with an HOA if that's part of the deal. All of these things that go towards buying that home. I cannot emphasize that enough. Now, the next one is, I hate that this is even a thing anymore. It just drives me nuts, but you absolutely do need to have an attorney if there's discrimination or harassment on a job. I've been in those jobs. I should have hired an attorney. It was vile. Okay. I worked for a car dealership a long time ago. We'll just say that. And it was absolutely disgusting. Talk about hostile work environment. The guys would just share these nasty stories, just absolutely vile stories. I had a claim for hostile work environment. I should have sought an attorney. I left. I didn't know my rights. I was 21 at the time. I didn't know that was unacceptable. You need an attorney for that because, again, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was against the law what they were doing or allowing there. Okay. So getting an attorney if there's discrimination or harassment. And if you're an employer listening to this, shut that down now. Do not allow that. Do not allow discrimination or harassment in your workplace. It is wrong, both morally, ethically, and legally. Do not foster any type of environment that gives your employees the option of those things. Okay. Next thing. This one's a lot closer to home for me. The next thing is, if you are a business, if you're looking to be in business for yourself, okay, you want to make sure that you are protected, that you do it right, that you do it the way that you should do it. Because at the end of the day, I don't know how to say this any more than bluntly. This is huge, okay? This is where the money is. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. What you pay me to do for forming that corporation, doing a buy-sell agreement, will pay off in spades. Like, save you thousands of dollars later. If there's a dispute, which statistics typically say there will be a dispute, like not just if, but when, okay? When there's a dispute, it will cost you easily 4 to 5 times that amount. Easily, not even like without question. What you pay me, it may even cost 10 times that amount. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. I know I've said that before. If you watched any of my other videos, I know I've said this before, but don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Don't try to save so much money. But Taylor, I need my money for my marketing, logo and brand and all this other stuff. No, you don't. I'm here to tell you right now, you don't need that stuff. You can get it for a lot cheaper. You don't have to spend hundreds, thousands of dollars on your marketing and logo and work for now. You're starting up. It's going to take some time to get there. But the number one thing that you're going to want to do is spend it on getting your books in order, getting your legal entity in order, getting your taxes in order, because those are the big things. You've got to have a good foundation. If you start out with a crappy foundation because you go cheap on it, all it's going to do is make it a lot harder to grow later and a lot more expensive. Think about a trademark. It's another one that most people think, oh, I'll just wait. Don't worry about it. I'll just do it when I feel like it. Or I'll do it later. I don't want to spend the money now. Spend the money now. Because guess what? If someone finds out that you're running a business with that trademark, they can buy that trademark out from underneath you. And then you have to either buy it from them or wait till they cancel it. And that can get expensive quick. So I'm talking, again, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It'll cost you 10 times, easily, 10 times to put this type of stuff off if there's a dispute or there's an issue later, because you can't go back in time and fix it. There's nothing you can do at that point. You're hurt. And then you're spending way more money. I had a client that had a contract, very terrible contract. Now, I'm not trying to throw my client under the bus. He didn't know what he didn't know. He thought that the more vague the contract, the more he couldn't be committed to something. But the reverse is true. The more vague the contract, the more up to interpretation that it left. And so it's going to find against you. He should have settled for a few $100s. He ended up having to settle for a lot more because he chose to not have a good contract. I'm not a doomsday kind of person. I'm just telling you the reality. If you don't know these stories, I'm happy to talk to you about them, because the reality is they're going to hurt you. That's just how it is. The people that don't pay attention to these things are the ones that are hurt the most. The people that pay attention to them aren't. It's crazy. I'd put money on it. I don't bet. I don't gamble. Okay? So that's business entity formation. You don't know what you don't know. Please do not be penny wise and pound foolish. Do the right thing for your business. Get that foundation set up. The next thing is drafting a will, trust, or estate plan. The laws are complex. They tend to change. The last thing you want to do is give your heirs something to fight about. It is so important that you are crystal clear in what you want to have happen after you pass away or while you're incapacitated, whatever that may be. This comes back to same thing. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure in law. If we get you set up with a will, I don't do estate planning, but I have friends that do, your life will be so much better. And your peace of mind will be huge. What's that worth to you? Being able to sleep at night, knowing that if you don't wake up in the morning, your family is taken care of. They know exactly what to do. Nobody is going to be hurt. Probate can take years, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, depending on the probate and the people on the other side. So it can cost you, it can be very expensive versus setting up an estate plan can be relatively inexpensive. $5,000, $10,000 probate that happens with, if you just have a will, you have to probate the will, or if you die intestacy, which is if you die without a will, all of those things will cost your heirs a lot more money, all to understand what it is, because the laws may not be what you want, and they're going to fight it, and it's going to get expensive. So the last one, and I think this one should go without saying, but just in case, if you get something from the IRS, now I'm not talking about those scam phone calls, okay? I'm talking about real legitimate letter from the IRS saying you owe back taxes or there's blah, 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 some discrepancy in your taxes, that you're getting an audit, so on and so forth. You need an attorney. Do not fight the IRS by yourself. It is foolish, absolutely foolish. This is in that same category of criminal law that you just do not want to mess with the government without legal counsel. These are the big ones. These are the ones where you absolutely need to protect your interests and make sure it's done right. I think these are pretty fair. I don't think there's any superfluous things. When there is a dispute to be had or potentially be had, it's always better to do it for, proactively. Sorry. I was trying to get out the word preemptively, but that works too. Proactively or preemptively. These things will make your life better. That's what I'm really talking about here. The money that you're exchanging for the legal services is such a small amount relative to the peace of mind that you're going to get by being able to handle these things and live your life without stress and without worry of those things. That's why I did this video, was because I cannot emphasize enough how important it is that this isn't about the money. It's never about the money. People find ways to spend money. It's that you don't think that there's a need or that it's not part of what you want. But I cannot tell you enough that it's exactly what you want. Because at the end of it, when we finish doing legal stuff for you, you can rest assured that we did the best job that we can. Are we perfect? No. Do we make mistakes? Occasionally. But we work hard not to. But I guarantee you we're going to make less mistakes than typically if you represent yourself. And that's really what it is. So, also, finally, doesn't have anything to do with do you need an attorney or not. Things are going to be changing around here. I'm going to be doing more lives. Not lives, but I'm going to be doing different things. You're going to see new things. It's going to be more interactive. So please come and bring comments. I would love to talk with you. And I'll have chat box, and I'm working on really great things to make this more interactive and less me lecturing, okay? And more, we get to chat and have fun and talk about and enjoy getting to talk about these things. You come, sit back, relax, and I'm here for you. Again, if you've gotten value out of this video, please don't forget to hit subscribe and like and notify and hit that bell icon to be notified of when we go live. Have a great one, and we'll see you later.